The sting of the needle barely registered, even though needles had always made me uneasy. But at that moment, I was beyond caring. Strapped to a gurney with wings that stretched my arms out like some bizarre crucifixion, I stared at the ceiling, my heart pounding. 3 prison officers moved around me, preparing me for what was to come. I was at the Texas State Penitentiary, minutes away from my execution. One of the officers placed a hand on my shoulder, a fleeting gesture of comfort, before they left me alone. Or rather, alone, except for the presence I knew was behind the curtain. A window stood before me, and I wondered if the witnesses were there, watching, waiting for me to die. 2 IV lines were inserted into my arms, one as a backup in case the first failed. The drugs would soon flow, rendering me unconscious, stopping my heart. My defense team had fought hard against this method, arguing it was cruel after several botched executions. The courts disagreed. I couldn't help but think about the people on the other side of that curtain. Would they see me before I lost consciousness? Would they hear my final words? My eyes wandered around the room, fear tightening its grip on me as I prepared for the inevitable. There was a clock above me, but I couldn't make out the time from where I lay. I knew it was close. As I waited, the quiet bustle of people outside the room filtered in, reminding me how alone I was. My thoughts drifted to my father, who might be waiting somewhere nearby, and to the chaplain who would soon come in to pray with me. I inhaled deeply, the antiseptic smell of the room filling my lungs, and tried to focus on the things that had brought me comfort. My father, who never stopped visiting or writing, and the God I had come to know in these final years. I had never been a religious man, but the chaplain had worked hard to guide me, and somehow he had succeeded. The night before, Reverend Rose had made his final visit. I had troubled him with a strange question. "Have you ever heard of a cell extraction?" I asked. He had, of course, and he tried to dissuade me from any thoughts of resisting. "Making it difficult won't make it better for you," he said. "The Lord is waiting to accept you, but you must be ready to be accepted." I knew he was right. The notion of fighting against what was coming conflicted with everything the Reverend had taught me. He had a way of calming me, conditioning me for this moment. But now, as I lay there, I was anything but calm. I thought about John Westover, my neighbor on death row, and how he had met his end just days before me. He had been guilty of horrific crimes, and yet we were in the same place, on the same path. The curtain in front of me suddenly opened, and there they were, the witnesses. Some were crying, others just staring with hatred so intense I could feel it. I spoke, trying to keep my voice steady. "Nothing will bring back your loved one. Hatred will never heal your soul. Find God. Find God." I had more to say, but the words stuck in my throat. "I'm ready," I said, turning to the warden. Warden Parkman removed his watch, signaling the start. The first drug hit my arm, cold and sharp, and I felt a wave of panic. The room began to spin, my vision doubling, and I shut my eyes tight, trying to hold on to some shred of dignity. My ears rang, and I could feel my body betraying me, spasming uncontrollably. Then, everything went still. And yet, something was wrong. I felt a tingling in my fingers and toes, and a dim light appeared. Was this heaven? But no one came to meet me. My excitement turned to confusion as I realized I could still feel my body, still hear something, a shuffling sound. "Thomas," a voice whispered surrounding me. "Yes," I cried out. "I'm here, I'm ready." The voice continued, calm and commanding. "You must cleanse yourself. Where is Jenna Troy?" Jenna Troy. The name jolted me. "You know I don't know. Why are you asking me this? Who are you?" The light grew brighter, and I realized with horror that I was still in the execution room, strapped to the gurney. The execution hadn't happened. I began to scream for help, thrashing against the restraints, but the guards were on me in seconds, pinning me down. "Calm down, it'll be over soon," one of them whispered harshly. From somewhere, I could hear Warden Parkman and Deputy Fisher talking, their voices filled with fear and anger. They knew they had gone too far. They had tried to break me, to get me to confess to something I didn't know, and now they had to finish what they started. But as the drugs finally took hold, all I could think was, "God, I want this to be over. Please, let it be over." Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more.